Hey, George, it's Kane Hodder. So Daniel Green tells me that you watched all of the Friday movies. That's pretty impressive. That's a lot of watching and a lot of watching different people play that character. And he tells me that you prefer the first movie? Really? Jason didn't do shit. I'm sorry about the language. Jason didn't do much at all. He grabbed somebody at the end and that was it. Now, the movie itself was pretty good, but come on. The main attraction is Jason, correct? So I'll give you another chance to change that opinion, and I'm sure you'll come to the conclusion that I was a better Jason than anyone else. And if you don't, of course, I'll have to kill you.
Hey, George, CJ Graham, Jason Voorhees, Friday the 13th, Part 6. Hey, how you doing? Hey, Dan said you're in a little bit of position that Kane let you know that he's your favorite. Hey, respect, but my favorite is Part 6, but I think Kane is amazing, good friend. But, let's brag a little bit. Does Kane have a guitar autographed by the Doobie Brothers? I mean, let's think about that, the Doobie Brothers. Or Def Leppard? Nah, I don't think so. So if you want to just go by that type, I think Jason Part 6 is going to be your favorite. You can always tell people out front, but inside, we know. All right, buddy? Hey, be safe. Hopefully I'll see you at a convention this year, and talk soon, okay?
This is part 2 of our... All right, folks, welcome back to the Remedial Film Class Podcast. This is still Dan.
And this is still Travis.
And I'm still George.
God, he's so f***ing George. Listen, so this is Friday,
He's America's
6.
sweetheart.
He's something. This is the second half of the mashup where we looked at Friday Part 5, then Phenomena. Now we're up to Friday Part 6. Mixing it up with a little Part 5. I guess this would be the chaser, if I understand the drinking terms. Is that right, guys?
Okay. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
So 5 was really horrible tasting, but made you feel good at the end, and this is the chaser that, well, we'll see. So, George, you battered us with your notes last time.
I took notes again.
Hit me with those notes, brother.
Jason lives! Okay, so that's an interesting way to continue the franchise after establishing Tommy as Jason's successor at the end of Part 5.
Tommy Jason.
Oh well, I'm going to have to just ignore all of the problems I have with this and just try and enjoy the boobs. I was starting to think that acting was improving, and then we get Weirdo Gravekeeper.
Yes.
And Paintball Nerd. Is this all bad acting and my standards have just been lowered by Part 5? It's possible. Gotta get me a mail order laser scope.
Wherever red dot goes, boom.
Doesn't he say ya bang? Isn't that
ya
what
bang,
he says?
that's
That's
it.
such a stupid line.
Ya bang.
Ya bang. Did we just have a sex scene with no boobs?
Yeah.
We did.
Very disappointing.
Did that RV just chirp tires on a dirt road? Yes, it did. This Jason is the Jason I imagined before I had ever seen a Friday the 13th movie. Right out of her slippers. Wow. Badass. Okay, so the shot where the counselor is putting the little girl back to bed and the camera pans up with Jason in the window, again, dope.
Yes.
That shot was dope. Why does all the blood look like raspberry jam? Yes, hamsters under the bed too, for safety. There's the flaming lake.
Yeah. It's a phenomena.
Come to think of it, the maggots in the beginning was very phenomena-like as well. Boat propeller, quote, kill, looked really good. And then in summary, well, it's clear that this is a different kind of Jason movie. It doesn't follow the formula. There were a lot of practical things that I have big problems with, mostly continuity. But taken on its own, it's a decent slasher movie. First time I've seen a villain be blatantly invulnerable. You got a little bit of that with Halloween, but Halloween left some mystery. This was Jason is blatantly unkillable.
You missed one very important one I thought you were going to touch on.
End scene.
End scene. The 007 Jason. In the very beginning.
Yeah.
I saw that. I totally forgot about that, and I was like, "Oh my god, George is gonna see that, and he's gonna shit."
I saw it and I was like, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Totally not. It's totally inappropriate and does not belong there. But
What year is this movie?
87, I think.
86.
86.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I first saw this movie, it was a rental from Blockbuster on a videotape, which for our listeners is like a podcast that you have to carry around with you physically, and it's as big as a paperback book.
Yes.
Which is like what you put on your Kindle, but instead what your grandma reads. But it looks like your Kindle, but it's thicker and it has multiple pieces of paper that, it's like those things that you use to roll joints. People used to put words on them.
Yeah, it's stacked up
Yes.
like 300 at a time.
Hell, nowadays people probably don't even roll joints. I'm not up on my drugs, but I
Do they have like digital joints yet?
I don't know.
Like
I think you can download them.
internet joints?
Email George. Tell him all about
Yeah,
your
if you have
internet
that.
joints.
Yeah.
For you nostalgic kids, they're good for the artwork. These VHSs, because I collect them just for the artwork. I mean, the fronts of all of them are way better than the DVD covers. They're all like painted and stuff. It's good stuff, and especially the Jason Lives one. I saw that I remember seeing that on the rack. I'm like, I have to watch this.
I'll tell you, man. When I was like 12 or whatever and rented this, I came in. I was like, I love Jason movies.
Mm-hmm.
This has Jason right up front. I'm like, oh shoot, he's like Frankenstein or something. That's cool. And then that James Bond intro hits, and I had a George moment at 12, just like, wait, is this satire? Like, are they making fun of the? Oh God, it's a funny one. And I was like, well, at least there'll be some boobs.
You were waiting for Leslie Nielsen to come out and say, "You're doomed."
There were no boobs.
No boobs.
For a long time, I didn't like this movie, and I was like, why didn't I like part 6? I don't remember. And then I watched it again in high school, and I was like, oh, because I was 12. It's not bad.
I didn't like it because he was using tools. He had a tool belt. And I was like, why does Jason have a tool belt?
Yeah, there was a lot of things in this movie where I was just like, why is this going on? And I kept having to tell myself, stop being George and stop analyzing everything and just watch, let it go.
Right. But now that I watched it, I was like, okay, he's collecting stuff. Like every kill would be in his belt. Like he got his gloves from the grave rob in the very beginning.
Okay.
Tommy had work gloves on when he dug them up.
Yep.
So I'm like, where did you get the gloves from? When I was a kid, I didn't realize that, and now I realize he took Tommy's gloves, and then he got the belt, whatever, with the knives from the other kill, and then he started getting stuff from the paintball guys. Like he was just collecting shit the whole movie.
Yeah, he's like a pack rat.
He's like the jerk.
He's like a squirrel bringing all the shiny things back to his nest.
Now, was your note about terrible dialogue from the very beginning? Do you have any idea? Because I thought the first scene or two, they really had snappy dialogue going to kind of shift the tone from whatever part 5 was to something a bit more comedic and watchable.
I thought that, overall, the acting in this movie was better than some of the others, for sure. There were still those quirky characters though that I was just like, why are they acting like this? Like the grave robber and the paintball people, especially the one paintball guy with the glasses that was just he was like the most conspicuously camouflaged person in the woods. Like he didn't know how to sneak around. He was just flailing every time he moved from tree to tree. It was just weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I made notes about the paintball too. I wasn't really sure what the purpose was.
It was just bodies to kill.
Yeah, it was
I think.
goofiness, and I'm just like, But there was some, like, the first kill is somebody who's pretty famous. The guy Jason kills in the car,
Yeah.
which is a really cool kill, by the way, because he, with the spear through the windshield,
Mm-hmm.
he goes with her. If you notice, he goes to stab her in the driver's side, and as she dives to the passenger,
I did notice
he
that.
stabs to the passenger. I was like, oh, that's badass right there.
They talk about that in the extended documentary, Crystal Lake Memories. That was
Mhm.
not planned, and that lady was almost killed for real.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's the director's wife. Oops. He would have been in so much trouble.
Well, we talked about the the family of the director, right?
Right.
The director's wife
Oh, there
always
you go.
gets the worst.
That's true. Well, the guy he killed in that scene played a dick for the next decade. Like, he was in Ghost, and he was in all kinds of, like, A-list movies. And I was
Mhm.
like, I didn't realize he was even in this. There's always one person in a Jason movie that goes on to be something.
He did get also stabbed in the crotch region with a stick, much like that
Right.
guy in part 4 with the spear gun. So
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of a fun throwback, and then literally
and
threw him backwards over
Yeah,
his shoulder.
and I was gonna say and catapulted. It was fantastic.
So the dialogue, like, what are you referring to, Dan? Because I'm trying to even remember
I don't think I said anything about dialogue. I just said acting.
acting.
Maybe
Okay.
I was projecting onto you, but I don't know. The first couple scenes, you're just like, okay, we're moving. People are saying words. They're saying them quickly. They're pronouncing the words correctly. That's new.
You're not even going to reprimand him?
But then, you get to, 2 or 3 scenes in, and it's just like, okay, they ran out of steam. All right, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
At least we got Fat Jason. Oh, they recast him already? Oh, bye, Fat Jason.
I didn't even notice Fat Jason.
He's only there during the paintball scene, kind of lumbering through the
Yeah.
woods in daylight. And he's probably like 240. He's big, but he's not fat. But he's not like the unkillable death machine marine guy who they get for the rest of the movie.
CJ.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch the paintball scene again.
Fat Jason.
Fat Jason. Yeah, I was thrown off by another Tommy. This is now the third Tommy, who, like, it just completely takes you out of the fact that this is a continuing character.
But it kind of is, but it kind of isn't though, because at the end of these are all running together. At the end of 5, I think he's taking up the mantle.
Right.
And here part 6 starts and he's not taking up
Right.
the mantle. He's still struggling with his trying to be normal. I don't know. And then he digs up Jason. I'm like, why?
Yeah, they got gun shy. You can tell. And I
Yeah.
don't know that it would have been better with a killer Tommy Jason, put down that machete. You know how bad that thing is. Yeah. It could have been great, but it wasn't going to be good. They were going to mess it up somehow. I think
They
they
must have got
realized
the
it ahead of
feedback.
time, and we're just like,
Yeah.
what if we just make him Frankenstein?
Yeah.
basically, and you know what? The fact that they did the Frankenstein Jason plays into the Tommy Jarvis basically becoming Van Helsing. Like, he's now the Van Helsing character. He's not going to take the mantle. He's going to have to try to destroy this lineage of this creature that
Right.
he should have killed when he was 10. So I guess that's a choice.
Thought he did, but whatever.
He did, but then somebody
He did.
and
He
then he drove a
did,
rod through
and then
his
he
chest.
undid it. Now he's got to redo it
Yeah.
again. Control Z, Control
But
Y.
it's still not done though. It's still not done. He's still alive at the bottom of that lake.
Who's alive?
I mean, it could be the last one. That might be the last one.
We
Part
haven't even
6.
established if this is Jason.
That's true.
This is what did you say his name? Josiah? What was the
Yeah,
name
the brother.
he used? Or Seamus?
Mason Voorhees, Justin
Mason.
Voorhees.
Yeah,
Voorhees.
Justin
Any of
Voorhees.
those.
Mason. I like Mason. Mason Voorhees.
We should give him like a millennial name, like Ethan. Ethan Voorhees.
Yeah.
It's Jalen Voorhees.
Connor Voorhees.
Eli.
There's
Eli
2
Voorhees.
Connor Voorhees, though. He's Connor F. Voorhees as opposed to Connor J. Voorhees.
There's like 3 Connors in his class.
They're in the same class, but they can't sit at the same table because they all look up when you call on them.
Right.
And then they tilt their head. Hmm?
Tommy Jason. I can't get that out of my head.
What the heck were we talking about? We were talking about Tommy Jason.
I mean, it's part 6, man. Tommy Jason, put down that rod. You're gonna hurt somebody.
Did they ever establish why he went? Was he going to make sure he was dead?
Yeah.
That's why he dug him up.
He wanted him out of the ground to burn him. That's why he had the gas can.
with age, this was not brought up, but his friend was Horshack. Was one of the from Welcome Back, Kotter, which is something that you probably don't even know what that is.
I know what it is.
He's one of the sweat hogs.
I've heard of.
It was a big thing in the '86 when he was in that movie. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, it's Horshack."
Oh, I thought that was a sitcom.
But it was so I don't know, but it's Horshack. He's basically typecasted as one character
it's
his
Horshack.
entire life, and then they go and put him in a Jason movie.
Yeah, it's Horshack.
They throw him in the casket. He's dead. One job. He had one job his whole life. It's a shame.
It's Horshack.
It's Horshack.
You know, it's Horshack.
Yeah, you're young.
This whole movie was Horshack. Well, I was pleased, though. At least for part of the movie, they entertain the idea that other people think that Tommy Jason is running around stabbing other folks with pokey sticks. Poke, stabby, stab. Tommy Jason, put down that axe. At least they did it for a little while. They never really committed to it, though, and never once are you, as the viewer, supposed to not understand that they're wrong, which is a shame. I want the game just once, and I want them to execute it in a way that I actually think there's stakes. I think it might actually be Tommy Jason and not Zombie Jason, which actually kind of rhymes with Tommy Jason.
Now, when the sheriff learned his name, did he tie him together with the events of part 4?
Right away.
Did you even watch this movie?
I think you watched it in 1986.
I watched it 2 days ago, but I'm just wondering if
it's the first thing that he says. He's like, "Yeah, your family was killed by Jason." Yeah, that's like the first thing they say.
You're right. Edit this out.
Did you watch this movie?
No.
It's weird. Dan forgot to put the theme song in. It's just Travis saying stuff that's wrong over and over again. Set to a smooth beat.
I suck. I couldn't get over the fact that he kind of looked like J. Jonah Jameson.
He does kind of have that look, doesn't he?
I'm like, oh my God, I love that guy.
Also, did the cop that was supposed to be babysitting him in the cell really think that Megan was going to shoot him? Really?
I would assume not in most of these movies. But earlier in this movie, that sheriff dad guy pointed a shotgun at his daughter and ordered her out of a car, and there was no flinching. So maybe in this universe, people shoot each other.
Yeah, he wasn't playing around.
No,
she
that
probably
was
had
scary,
no boyfriends.
man. That's like the scariest moment in the movie, because it's like, dude, that's your daughter, and you are not backing down. Ugh.
So finally, some campers in this movie. We're now movie number 6, and this is the first time
Lots of campers.
we're actually seeing children,
Mm-hmm.
and they get to interact with Jason. And like you said, one of the best parts is when he does go into that cabin and lean over the little girl who keeps having the nightmares, and then when the counselor goes and talks to her, he's, again, the best voyeur Jason out of all of them, I think, is this one, because he kind of walks along the windows.
Mm-hmm.
I loved all that stuff. But the little girl, I was like, he's not going to kill her.
I like that he didn't harm any of the children, although he may have, if given more opportunity. I'm not sure, but I like that they kept that. There were a lot of things in this movie that they didn't keep from the formula of the first 5. And that is one thing that they did. He doesn't really harm children.
Right.
I'm kind of glad they did that.
Hey, George, what were you going to be when you grew up?
Those kids were annoying.
That was a good line, though.
It's like, yeah, but they're about to die. Like, they shouldn't be joking.
What were you going to be? That's funny.
Like, that one kid's way too calm to be.
He did have some good timing, though.
He did.
Well, I was happy that not only did we get campers, but we also got counselors. How long has it been? Well, I can tell you it was Friday, too. But it's been a little while since we've even had camp counselors. And so that was a nice return to form. I still don't understand suspenders into sweatpants under a half shirt.
I enjoyed that.
But I'm there. Like, okay, if that's what you want to do, I'm with you. Let's do that. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
It's late 80s.
I'm open-minded.
Yeah. I remember that being style. Ugh.
Tell us how you really feel, Travis. As he snaps his suspender pants.
The clothes were bad. That's all I know.
The hair was bad too.
Hair was bad. The zombie Jason is killer. He's kick-ass.
Yeah.
We've
he's-
entered the zombie Jason era. There's a road sign back there, and it says, "Welcome to Zombie Jason. Population 2."
Too. But what's funny is you think when you look at the whole saga, he's only the undead for a couple of the movies. He has that reputation of being indestructible.
Yeah, invulnerable.
I just
But-
counted 7 movies out of 12.
How many?
7, because in part 5 he's a ghost. 6, 7, 8,
Oh,
9,
That's
10
cheating.
he's a zombie. 11 he's a zombie. Yeah, 7 out of 12. That's more than half. I'm saying Zombie Jason is a fine reputation.
Must be Dan's favorite Jason.
Well, I guess we'll talk about that when we see them all, because some of that is debatable. I do know that the 5 is a cheat. He's a ghost Jason, but that has nothing to do with being the undead.
Jason in part 2 is awesome. And he's not zombie Jason.
I
but
think
he's
it's
still
weird
awesome.
that he's only
indestructible.
really like active human Jason for 3 movies. Like that seems
Yes.
weirder to me. That you could
Even
only
4.
be.
I mean, he was destructible.
Mhm.
Yeah, 2,
So-
3, 4. I don't count 1 because he's like a zombie catapulted out of a lake on a spring. Like I don't really know much about him.
But
Right.
we don't even know if that was a real event.
We don't even know if that was really Jason.
That could have been just a thing that happened, and he really was alive the whole time as a teenager by that point, walking around the woods.
I mean,
Like,
for all we know, that was Paul. Damn it, Paul. Where's Paul?
You're talking about the jump scare at the end of 1.
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
like I
Yeah, that
wouldn't
was
count
a
that as
dream.
that's not Jason.
That didn't actually happen.
So the reason why I said that was at this point when 6 comes out, people are like, I mean, people were actually complaining, God, when is he ever going to die? Like, why don't you cut him up in little pieces and mail him off to different parts of the country? Like, but you think about that kind of anger, he's only been undead for like 1.5 movies at that point. So they
Yeah.
legitimately made him come back from the dead, Frankenstein style.
Mm-hmm.
It's explainable. And all the other movies, minus the time he was a ghost, prior to this, he was a living person.
There was some continuity with with the timeline, and how did his shoulder heal automatically somehow.
If that's the same guy.
Right. So, yeah.
But in the end, Zombie Jason kicks ass.
Yeah, he's a really good Jason.
He's everything that, like you said, that you would think of when you hear about Jason. That's the Jason. And they knew that once they saw it. Like when he flips that RV over and just kicks the door open, and it's like, that's the shit.
Yeah, him
Yeah.
standing triumphant on the RV is just like, okay, now we're cooking with gas. Like, this is good stuff.
And that's what made a lot of people go see the commercial, and the music video for the Alice Cooper song shows that scene where he pushes the girl's face through the wall,
Mm-hmm.
and then the RV flips, and then he stands on top of it with the smoke coming out and everything. People are like, okay.
Yeah, the metal wouldn't do that unless it was heated up, but it's fine.
How
Well, yeah, that was-
far we
It
have
was
come.
satire.
Yeah, by part 6, how far we have come from Friday part 2. You know?
Mm.
It's a whole nother thing now. And you can't go back. Once you've escalated to this point, you just can't go back to guy with a scary mask who's slow and lumbering. Like,
Mhm.
this guy
Mhm.
jumps out of the water, out of trees, into a puddle, like jumping zombie Jason. I didn't know I needed it, but it works. I
But you
dig
need
it.
Well, he almost becomes a superhero. Like they become, the 80s monsters become so iconic that people are willing to take anything they're given. So you're like, oh my God, like you'll see in the Nightmare on Elm Street, when you get further down, the child molesting, child killer becomes kind of a stand-up comedian, and kids are wearing his costume for Halloween, and it's just almost unrealistic. You're like, wait, he's a child molester that kills children.
Yeah.
And you're letting your 8-year-old wear a costume.
Yeah, that's kind of questionable.
Yeah,
I
so it's
prefer
like,
my slashers to keep their mouths shut. And also
Yeah.
to just kill people, that's it. And just grown-ups, kill the grown-ups, leave the kids alone.
Jason became the same kind of icon. By part 6, part 7, you would see kids. I was one of them. 10 years old, walking around with a machete.
17-inch, I think, at this point, right? 17 inch.
Well, this was the
17 inches. by now.
17-inch butcher knife. Yes, 25-inch.
I mean, at some point, Jason ends up on Arsenio Hall, for crying out loud. Although that
Yes,
I
he
don't
does.
think happens till 8. But still, what the heck? You don't get Sackhead Jason on Arsenio Hall.
No.
Be a heck of an interview, though. Turns out he's British and actually kind of well-spoken.
Yes.
Just didn't feel like he had anything to say.
Hello.
I like that Jason. I like Sackhead Jason.
Sackhead Jason. Good shit. That should go on a t-shirt. I'm a fan of Sackhead Jason.
I am. I like that Jason.
I mean,
Kind of miss him.
of all the Jasons, it looks like Tom and Jason. It's probably Sackhead.
Sackhead. I'm going to start using that as an insult.
That's funny.
Did anyone else get kind of jarred by the weird pop culture references in this movie? Like, for the first...
I didn't watch it.
Was there a tab joke?
Well, like, up through the first 5 movies, it's very much like a self-contained universe that takes place kind of parallel to our own.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, this one, she's like, "You're not Dirty Harry," with that gun. And it's like, oh, that's... What? We're doing Dirty Harry now? And then... The one who's like, "Hey, maybe it's Smokey the Bear." It's like, oh my, what?
I remember.
Guys, what? And then did you notice they had like Cunningham Road, Carpenter is listed as a location. They've got Karloff as the general store.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you should try watching it. I think you'd really like this one, Travis. So they're just throwing names at you. Heck, even Sheriff Garris is named after Mick Garris, the director. Like, guys, take a moment, take a breath. Put down the word processor. Eject the floppy disk. Set it onto a magnetic surface just for a moment. Start over.
We do not need Karloff's hardware. Although, that's funny because it is Frankenstein Jason.
I mean,
so.
yeah. I mean, it's they know what they're doing. They're not trying to hide their notes on this one. They're just having fun. And I guess I had some fun, too. At parts.
Yeah. I mean, it's our favorite for reasons, and it's terrible for reasons.
But yeah, I didn't notice any of that stuff. But then again, I'm not well versed in this stuff.
I mean, you should.
Well, when you
should
watch it
recognize
25 times.
John Carpenter, though. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
He's the second best Umberto Lindsay.
That's not right.
It might be true though.
So George mentioned the lack of nudity in the sex scene. It was a nice RV, though.
Are we gonna start like a Patreon for Travis's RV fund?
I don't know.
We should do that.
We should probably do that. But I looked at that RV. I'm like, that's not bad.
Yeah, I know.
could
I
get-
know that you were looking at that RV and you were envious of it.
For
I know
all
it.
of the guitar talk we've had on this podcast, I guess I'll sit through a little bit of RV enjoyment.
Believe me, I'm no expert, but I do like that life. I want to do that life.
Looked kind of like a bumpy ride to me.
You've wanted an RV ever since you saw Spaceballs. It's been that long.
It's either Spaceballs or
The Hills Have Eyes.
Christmas Vacation.
Christmas Vacation.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Although I don't want Eddie's RV. That there, Clarkson RV. That's actually what I said to myself when that popped up in the movie because I totally forgot. I wrote down when the RV's in rockin', don't come and knockin'. Because she was like, I guess they were doing it. Not really sure. Neither of them were really into it. But yeah, they were doing it enough to shake the RV.
The RV was shaking quite a large amount.
Yeah.
For a 120-pound girl.
Now apparently she's the same girl that was doing the aerobics video in part 4, the beginning.
In the hospital?
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's what I
Very
heard.
weird. Everything is weird about that. There's no normal in that. That's weird. Everything's weird. Weird aerobics. Weird recasting. Weird that they had like 42-inch subs in that RV so the music would bounce it around like that. Something had to be going on. That was weird.
So the music would bounce it around like that.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that the Jason. I liked how he kind of hid in there and then popped out, but I don't know. I would have liked to see him interact with them a little bit more before he wiped them out. But
well, and the kills are so brief in this movie that like when he kills the driver guy, it's literally like, click, he's off, crash. Like I don't need gore to enjoy the movie, but I need more than just like dead. You know, same problem I had with 5, like when they kill the peeping Tom guy, and it's like, ooh, there's a peeping Tom. Ooh, he's dead. Like what? There's no tension, no build up, no like manipulation of my feelings as an audience. No. Just, hey, look, a guy died. You got a dead guy. You wanted a dead guy? There's a dead guy. You got him.
here's another.
That's not... And this movie does it so much. I know they're trying to dodge the MPAA, and they're trying to keep it light and make it more fun. But so many of these kills in their final form are so brief. They lack punch. They lack excitement. They lack lead up. They lack build up. They lack finish. They just happen. It's just like, oh, okay, guy died. Bent over in half.
The death of the sheriff is pretty sweet.
Have you seen the uncut version that's on the special features?
Yes.
That's cool. That's like, oh, that's really gross. Like, okay, yeah. The final form, snapped him like a twig. Big deal. No acting, man. Just done.
Yeah, I don't think they were worried about acting in this movie.
But when you see the uncut kill on the special features, he's acting his butt off. Oh, God,
Right.
I'm getting twisted in half like a deck chair. And instead, when they finish, it's just like, oh, hey, can you put this one away too, Jason? Because what?
Can you put this one?
It's like the end of a school assembly where they're like, okay, well, we don't pay staff to put these chairs away, so you guys need to put 2 or 3 away because all the lazy people already left. That's this movie. It's just one guy left. So Jason's just like, oh, I'll put this one away. Crunch.
So do you think it was a good idea to have this whole capture scene at the end? Like, I'm watching it and I'm going, like, where did the rock come from? He's got these chains. Like, how does he know he's going to be able to overpower it? Like, to me, it just seemed very far-fetched. But the end result was cool. And it was kind of epic to have that ending. But the whole build-up to him being captured, just minus being the phenomena lake fire, there really wasn't a thought behind it. Didn't seem to be anything that was necessary.
It wasn't clever.
No. It could have been done a little better.
So are you saying, Travis, that in a movie where a guy who's been dead for years gets resurrected like Frankenstein, you think that they went a little too unrealistic with the ending?
No, I'm not saying it's unrealistic. I'm saying that it didn't seem thought out. That's
the same thing I said. I just thought that wasn't really clever.
Right. Like, I think the art direction and everything where they were like, okay, we want the end scene to be a 10-foot chain under 15 feet of water with a giant rock resting on the Camp Crystal Lake / blood sign.
Lake bed. Yeah.
And we want him to be just enough underwater where he's going to be there for a long time.
About 8 months.
And that's how we want it. Yeah, about 8 months. We want to end with that image. How do we get to that? That's what it seemed like to me. Like the capture scene in King Kong, it's all thought out. And they figure it out, and there's no plan in this movie. He doesn't tell her what he's trying to do. Like, it just seemed very strange. Like, he had to get him into the water for his plan to work. He had to get the rock around his neck for it to work. He had to get all these things to happen for that trap to work. That I almost thought it was unrealistic.
Well, and then
it's almost like Doc wearing a bulletproof vest instead of just not being there.
Right.
It was like
changing the location.
Not
or something.
very thought out.
Right.
Like, just, I don't know.
Maybe
I
if
think they
he's
just had an idea.
maybe he knows if he moves the location, Marty won't make it back to 1955, and then he won't tell him, and then he won't change the location, and then he'll get shot and he dies. Man.
I'll have to think about that some more. You said that really fast.
No, I will piggyback onto what you were saying, though, Travis. I mean, just the fact that Jason is going to kill that Megan, the sheriff's daughter. He's got like his hands on her. He's killing that, and then Tommy's just like, "Hey,
Hey,
I'm gonna call you the P word, and you're gonna turn around and come after me." Like
Right.
that's not Jason. That's never been Jason. There's no precedent for that in 6 whole movies that he would ever do that.
Right.
It just serves to get us to this ending staging.
Yeah, and also if the chain is around his neck, attached to a boulder at the bottom of the lake, why is he still standing straight up?
What do you mean?
Like, if his head was attached to the chain, wouldn't his head get dragged down? And his torso and legs would be, like, up? Wouldn't he be in the lake upside down?
I don't think your feet float, bro.
Your torso does, though.
Yeah, I think he would end up in a position looking like he's trying to reach to the back of the 3rd shelf at a grocery store. Like head down, hunched forward, arm out, holding Wheaties is what would happen.
Yeah.
Well, again, the end image is what they wanted, and they didn't think of
Right,
that.
they should have
but
been. It should have been attached to his foot, is
to
what I'm
his foot,
saying.
right? Yeah, because his head is not heavy, or is not ever going to be the thing that's going to float to the top first. And still, he's strong enough. Why wouldn't he just be able to pull that chain over his head?
I mean, you
No.
assume that zombie Jason is made of the same stuff as human Jason. He might be all kinds of floaty things. I don't know, man.
He
Yeah.
actually might have maggots in his head
Yeah,
instead of brains. So.
Maggot head.
yeah. It makes me angry.
It's
About
a
that.
heck of an ending,
Yeah.
though. Like, it looks
Yeah,
great.
It's epic. It's epic. Like I've seen statues sculpted of that image of him, but you're right. None of it makes sense.
There was a lot of that. It's just shit that doesn't make sense in this movie, but I just had to, like, plow through it and not let it get to me and just watch.
And I'm sure that you won't have to do that for the next 7, 8, 9, 10, 4 movies. I'm sure you
Really?
won't ever have to plow through any of the next 4 movies and just get them done because
You-
we're making you.
Oh, you actually had me there for a second. I thought, like, the next couple were going to be really good and I wasn't going to have any problems.
I was talking to a guy today
But-
who was watching one for the first time. I'm not telling you which one, but he was watching one. He's like, "Oh, I've heard this movie sucks, but this really is starting strong." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, wow. I'm 20 minutes in. This movie's great." And I sent him a gif of, like, it's all downhill from here. And about 5 minutes later, he's like, "Oh, damn it."
WTF? I think I
Yeah.
know what number he was watching.
It was fun. I made him turn on the audio commentary real quick because he had to hear the angry pickle story that we talked about earlier.
Mm.
He approved. You can have pickle. You just can't have angry pickle. Jeez Louise. It's a fun movie. This one is, but I mean, how far have we come from actually scary part 2 and 4 to whatever part 6 is? Like, it's good. It's fun. But it's not what
fun.
we had before. But unfortunately, it's changed the game now, and this is where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
We're here now. And you can blame Freddy for some of that, I think. The Nightmare on
Yes.
Elm Street movies really upped the campiness.
I think part 3 is what changed everything. So when you watch that, you'll understand. Like, they just totally took it. They created a new genre, I guess. It's
Talking
no
about-
longer.
You talking about Elm Street?
Yeah,
part
like
3?
what he's saying. The change in Jason kind of happened because of Freddy, because he was so marketable. It became like, literally, I remember seeing like loose leaf notebooks with Freddy Krueger on the front
Mm.
of it. Like, it just became a marketing icon. So they were like, all right, well, we need to do the same thing. So then they kind of marketed Jason not as a slasher killer, but more like a superhero, misunderstood superhero, I guess is how they're kind of packaging him. Misunderstood. He's not. I don't know
He's a good boy.
how to explain it.
My Jason.
My Jason.
He was a good boy.
But I heard somebody talk about the Jason movies where they said the way they're made, sometimes you feel like a part 2, pop it in. Sometimes you feel like watching part 8, pop it in. They're all different but the same, but they all have their own little thing that you're going to watch it for. So it depends on how you feel and what you're feeling at that moment. If you want to see a good, thriller horror movie, then you would watch part 2, part 1. If you want to be entertained, you would watch 6 or 7. If you want to go cry in the corner, you watch 10.
10 has some really good stuff in it, though, George.
It does
Don't
have
worry.
some good stuff. Again, I think 10 suffers from the same thing that 5 suffers from. There's no vision that in the right director it would have. I know it would never happen, but if a top-notch director took over 10, I think it would probably have been at least acceptable cinema.
I think
It's just
even if
It's
you
just
got
a popcorn movie.
even if
It's
you
just
got
popcorn.
Steve Miner back for part 10, I think he'd look at the script and go, "Yeah, we're not going there. That's not where we're
Right.
going. We're doing a new script. That's part 10."
But can you imagine part 10 directed by Ridley Scott?
No, because he wouldn't do it. Because that movie
I know he wouldn't do it,
wasn't
but it
good.
would be amazing.
I don't know.
If he got a hold of that idea. I'm not saying he had that script and all that, but if he had that idea, someone came to him and said, "Listen, we're making a Jason movie. This is the premise, blah, blah, blah." I think in the hands of someone like him, maybe not him, but someone like him, I think that would be probably one of my favorites because it's a good idea. You'll see. It's a good idea, but it's just not executed correctly.
So wrap it up for us, George. You've seen part 6. It's different. What do you think? Is it a win?
It's a decent slasher movie.
Better than part 5?
Yeah.
Better than part 3?
Yeah.
Better than part 2?
No.
Damn right.
I'm still 1, 2, 4, 6, 3, 5, I think.
It's
Or
fair.
maybe 5, 3
Those are all fair.
Yeah, that's good.
for me.
I know 7's going to be up there when you watch it
Okay.
because 7 is my favorite.
That's the next one.
Yes.
All right, pop it in. Let's go.
All right, let's do
Live
it.
action, rock and roll.
We're going to live stream this bitch. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
So, George, let's talk about Phenomena a little bit more. I made you watch it. My intention was that you watch it very close to part 6, but before you see part 6. So, mission accomplished. We talked about a lot of it yesterday, and I told you that the aesthetic from the movie, especially the end of that movie, heavily influences this movie. How did I do? Was I right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, as soon as he started pouring that gas can in the lake, I was like, oh, there's the phenomenon.
Yep.
Phenomena. There it is.
There were a few things that I noticed how windy it was in like when they were outside running around, there was a lot of
In Phenomena?
in Phenomena.
Yeah. In the beginning scene, I'm like, someone is shaking that branch with their hand. Branches don't move like that.
But
they're
even,
right out of the view of the camera, shaking the branch.
right.
I wish you could see the motion I'm making. It's like, never mind.
Now,
Yeah,
did
it's
the
pleasing.
version you guys watch have the narration that explained why it was so windy in Phenomena?
No.
It's
No.
some kind of European wind thing. Like, it drives
Oh,
people
yeah,
crazy because
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
windy.
it
and
makes
stuff.
people sick.
Yeah. So they had a reason, at least, that they based it on. But this movie, I think, did the thing like so many movies did with Chainsaw, where they're like, okay, the girl falls down a lot. Check. Girl falls down.
Right.
This one is like, oh, it's windy. Yeah, windy's cool. Let's stick with that.
But see, the reason why I brought it up was in part 6, that last segment, that last 15 minutes, 20 minutes, things in the wood. They chose to use the same kind of imagery of the bright lights on the trees so you can see how windy it was. Like when we were watching Phenomena, I was like, okay, these are the things that Dan wanted us to see the reference of, and the maggots on the skull.
I'm
Mhm.
clapping
I was like,
for you
okay.
guys.
I remember when Jason's first dug up, and then when he's reanimated, the maggots climbing on his face. As soon as I saw that head, I was like, okay, that's a reference. And then the windiness, spotlighted windiness, the flames on the lake. Like, so I got it.
I mean,
But that movie was
Jason
effed up.
being drowned in the
Yeah.
lake,
yeah.
like
And then her swimming underwater and
yeah.
being pulled under.
yeah,
like,
and
all
there
that stuff,
being
yeah.
a struggle in the lake. Yeah,
So, yeah, the references were there.
definitely.
So thank you. But I'll never watch that movie again.
You don't have to, but you're going to like Tenebrae. I know you'll like Tenebrae. You might even like Suspiria. I doubt you're going to like Inferno. George will. Travis will not. That's my prediction.
Okay.
Mm.
But yeah, a Phenomena, it is what it is, but it's really interesting that it basically readapts a formula based on its own formula and is then immediately copied by the people that it was adapting from who copied it in the first place, and that snake just swallows its own tail deeper and deeper.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Now, part 6 is missing a vat full of heads, and that would have been cool.
Oh, that's always cool.
You don't know that it's not there. You just didn't see
They just
it.
haven't found it.
Yeah.
But that would have been a cool scene.
I mean, there's probably some other heads in that lake. Like, what concentration of heads in a body of water do you need to achieve the effect of the Argento bit? I don't know.
Yeah, it was so gross though. Like there has to be a point in a Jason movie where that happens. I want to see it. It's a kind of a Leatherface thing. Like, I know that you've found bodies, parts in a tub, but that whole swimming pool full bodies, I was just like, I literally felt ill.
Mm.
And I'm sitting there going, all right,
That's good.
She's ingesting bacteria that has been like completely mutated and whatever. Like, I'm just like, ugh.
No, it's just
It was filthy.
it's just getting her antibodies up. That's all.
It's definitely the grossest like body parts in a floating bit of water since I spit on your grave.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way she's getting COVID after that swim.
No,
She's good.
she done got it already. But that's cool that a movie made you physically ill to watch.
Yeah, I
That's
was
awesome.
a little nauseous from it. I was like, oh my God.
That's good.
And then I saw that rat-faced kid, and I'm like, oh God.
It's so good, man. That part's good. I mean, really, it's a lot of shoe leather to get to that last 20 minutes of Phenomena.
Yeah.
And it's so bizarre to have Donald Pleasance in that movie at all.
Yeah, it could have done without the monkey, but
I have some bad
the
news for
chimp.
Travis.
what?
Donald Pleasance is in a lot of Italian movies right at the
Okay.
end of his life.
Okay.
And they get worse from here, like significantly worse.
can't
One
be
of his
worse
last
than-
movies, called Fatal Frames,
Okay.
is like a giallo starring 3 guys who are all like photocopies of Fabio, and not Fabio
Ugh.
Testi, like Fabio, the
Fabio
guy with the
the-
long hair and the muscles.
Yeah,
But-
I can't believe it's not Bardo.
Yeah, but none of them can
Okay.
act any better than Fabio. So you've got 3
God.
terrible Fabios trying to solve a murder, and it's the worst movie I've ever seen. And I hope you guys watch it someday. Just it's bad.
Well, it can't be any worse than Halloween 6.
It makes Halloween 6 look like Halloween 2.
Because that was just sad that they brought him back basically on his deathbed for that debacle.
Tommy, paycheck.
Paycheck. Cha-ching.
Wait, how did you phrase it before, Dan? Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Halloween
It's,
6 though is wonderful because Paul Rudd.
Yes.
He
There's a
violates the Tropic Thunder rule, and he does it with gusto.
Yeah. There's a lot of saving graces in that movie.
What's the Tropic Thunder rule?
White guy pretending to be black. Is that right?
No, the other one.
Oh, going full?
Yeah, you can't say it anymore because it's the
Allowed to
R
say
word.
it?
You never
Right.
go full R word.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
goes 100. He goes to 11 on the R word
Yeah.
scale. And I don't know why, because it's Paul Rudd, and he looks just like he does now. He hasn't aged a bit.
Yeah.
But whatever characterization they had him coached up to was insufficient for the purposes.
Well, there wasn't much coaching going on in that set. I don't think.
Can we not ever watch that movie? Can we just show George the good Halloweens?
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, if we could
Although
just skip 5 and 6, I'd be so happy.
I'm gonna watch all of them.
Ugh.
5.
Ugh.
5's bad.
Ugh.
See what you guys the reaction that you guys are having, like right now, Travis, I know how much you love Halloween.
Yeah.
And Dan, I know you love it too. I think you might love Jason more, but I know you both love Halloween, but you're both lamenting how terrible it got. And I have to be honest, with film and with TV series and stuff like that, that's some of the reason why I don't even start a series. Because if it's not over yet, there's a very good chance it's just going to go terrible. Which is what happened with Halloween. As much as you love Halloween, it ended up disappointing you. That's how I felt about like Sons of Anarchy when I was watching it. Like, it was a great story. It should have been 4 seasons.
Right.
And it would have been perfect.
Here's my proposal. I made this, I think, for the first time, oh golly, back in 2005 or so, right around the time Rob Zombie's Halloween right around the time his Halloween come out.
Tommy Jason.
Tommy Jason, get off the porch. Michael Myers is here. He got that knife.
Michael Myers. That Myers boy.
18-inch blade.
It's 19 now.
Oh, Jesus. So anyway, right around the time the Halloween remake came out, the Rob Zombie one, I said, you know what? That movie kind of sucked, but like, it was a Rob Zombie movie, and it was also Halloween. And since they're all the same movie anyway, I was just saying every year you just get a different director of some acclaim to do their Halloween.
That would be cool.
And just do it every October. You get a new Halloween. And this time it's Rob Zombie. Next time it's the Coen brothers. Next time, it's, Sofia Coppola. Let her do a Halloween and let her play in the playground. And do kind of like they're doing now with the new ones where they change this and change that. And this part stays and you drop this part and that part's stupid. So we're not doing that. Just every year give me a new director with a new vision. Play with the same pieces.
I love that idea. Really, that would be amazing, especially somebody who has come from the theater background. Like, to me, some of the best shows are revivals of old shows. So you're still seeing the same dialogue, you're getting the same songs and whatever, but you're getting a director's take on someone else's basic classic. I love that. I think that would be an amazing TV show. They should probably, you know what, write this down and mail it to yourself.
Copyright Dan
Copyright
from the
it.
Remedial Film Podcast. But no, that would be
Because
wonderful.
I would love to take a stab at remaking Halloween. That would be awesome.
Integrate Halloween 3 into the mix, man. You could do that.
Dude.
Oh.
And it kind of plays into what we were talking about last night when we were discussing 5. And this is probably why I have such high expectations and feel like I've been disappointed so much, is because when I watch these movies, that they're so dear to me, the characters, that when I see somebody not take it, they take it on a totally different direction that it should go, or they take it on a totally different direction that isn't part of the character. It's aggravating because you're like, all you had to do was this, and you did that.
That's what happens when I watch Batman
everything.
Forever. That's why I hate that one more than Batman and Robin, because at least Batman and Robin knew it sucked. Like, from the beginning, George Clooney's like, paycheck.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I'm pretty sure the first take was, I'm paycheck. Oh, sorry. Joel, I'm going to need a second take. Let me get my ice skates back in my boots.
Oh, my God.
But at least he knew, Val Kilmer's like, ooh, I'm so broody. Let me do something way out of character and emphasize it so that Daniel hates this movie. And he did, and I did.
Right.
Ruined Batman for a long time.
Yeah, I think that's our problem, is we see these movies and we think we know better than the guy who's making it. Like when
sometimes.
Star Wars, prime example, like fans lost their shit over the sequels.
Mm-hmm.
Just like people my age lost their shit over the prequels, because we were like, you were given the kingdom and you screwed it up.
Yeah, it's very frustrating when you're into something and another movie comes out and the director doesn't get it.
Right. Or purposely changes it.
Yeah.
Like Johnson did. Like, people lost their mind.
Very frustrating.
Because you're like, you had one job. You were given
the story writes itself.
These characters, and you fucked it up. Yeah, it's like, it's so aggravating. Like with part 6 of Halloween, when you're watching it, you're like, oh my God, that's a great idea, and you didn't do anything with it.
And now it can't be
Right.
it can't be fixed.
Like,
That
I'll
was our
talk
one
about it.
chance. We had one chance to do that cool thing, and you fumbled it on the 1 yard line.
Yep.
Like Dan's going to talk about in part 8, he's going to talk about one of the greatest characters ever.
Mm-hmm.
And they do nothing with him.
I mean, they do
should have
one
done.
thing with him.
Right. But it's like there's a scene in Halloween 5 where they could have easily did a crossover or explain that this is all the same universe.
Mm-hmm.
And they blew it because they both had mystery characters that could have been the same guy.
Gotcha.
And it's like the fan is sitting there going, oh, fuck. Yes.
Right.
And then you find out, nah,
Nope.
not related at all. Suffer. So now you're sitting there for 10 years going, this movie would have been amazing if they would have just done that. And it's aggravating. So that's when you watch 1, 2, and 3, and then 4. 4 is not bad at all. I love 4. And then you get 5, and it's like, wait, 4? And then 5? Really?
Yeah. I'm really
Listen, we're
excited to
not-
see 4 in today's context. Like, in the 2020 world we live in, I think the
Are we
ending of
talking-
4 is going to play a little different.
We're talking Halloween.
Okay. We're talking 4 Halloween.
It all applies to Friday because it's the same thing. Like every movie has something wrong with it that you could have fixed and would have made it a lot better, or just scrapping it altogether would have made it better, or taking it seriously would have made it better.
Well, listen, we can't all be Stephen King. Although,
But he
if
screws things up too.
if
So
we
it's
were,
yeah.
all these movies would be a lot better.
But a prime example, when you watch the remake of Friday the 13th,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see exactly what we're talking about.
Okay.
Because you'll see somebody who said, you know what? I've been waiting 20 fucking years for a good Jason movie, and I'm going to make it because these people don't know what they're doing. So when you watch it, you're like, yes.
All right, so I got to
Thank
watch
God.
7 and 8 and the remake.
Yes.
Yeah, that actually is a pretty good order. Really, you could watch the remake now if you wanted, but I feel like now that we've entered zombie Jason, we should really ride him out to at least part 8.
Yeah.
Keep it on task a little bit.
My point of bringing up the remake is sometimes there's a payoff. Like with the Rob Zombie, everybody's like, oh, wow, Rob Zombie is iconic and he's going to make Halloween and we're all going to love it. And then you watched it and you're like, fuck, dude, seriously?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then when they made the 2018 Halloween, again, same thing as the remake of Jason, the director sat down and said, I'm going to make this the correct way. Maybe it's my take, but enough people are going to like what I have to say. And these guys in the 80s, they weren't thinking that. They were just thinking, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. We're getting all these people to come out and see these
That's
movies.
a big problem, dude.
Yep.
The money is a big problem.
Artistry suffers.
That's why, like I said, with Sons of Anarchy, it holds a very special place in my heart. But it was 3 seasons too long because of money.
How many seasons too long is The Walking Dead, George?
So far,
They could have compressed
I think that could have been 5 seasons.
7
Although
seasons. They
we
drug out a few
can't-
things.
We can't really say because it hasn't ended yet.
Right, but the
So-
comic has. And where they're at, I'm looking at it, I'm going, okay, they could get 2 more seasons out of the story, but they could have also compressed a few things to make us further along.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, to some people it jumped the shark. I don't believe it did because I know the full story, so I'm like, I'm curious. I think it's still a good show, so we'll see.
Where do we go from here, George? We're moving on to part 7.
Mm-hmm.
Very few movies need a part 7, but this one does. Where are we going?
I have no idea.
Well, what do you think? Based on this and what you've seen already, how do you think they're going to...
You think it's time for Tommy Jason?
Well, I think that the next movie is going to start in some way that has no relation to the end of this one.
Okay.
Am I close?
We're not
Like
going
the
to
way
tell
this
you
one
if you're
started?
close.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm just curious.
We just want to hear.
You get what I'm saying?
Keep in mind,
Yeah, like
This one started with no continuity to the one before it, so
save that for
maybe
10.
the next one won't start with any continuity to this one. I don't know. No, I assume he's going to free himself from the lake and wreak havoc once again, hopefully with some campers and hopefully with some boobs.
I am going to give you one bit of information that may, you could consider this a spoiler. You could consider this me trying to bias you. You're about to see the coolest looking Jason in any of the movies.
All right.
He's so cool looking.
I actually fell in love with this Jason.
If you love him
Part
so much,
7.
why don't you marry
Part
him?
7. Not like I literally was like, yeah, yes, that is epic. Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm excited.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up for this week. We are the Remedial Film Class Podcast. As always, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Remedial Film Pod. We're at Facebook at facebook.com/remedialfilmpod. And, of course, you can email us at remedialfilmpod@gmail.com. We'll be back next week with a double take, Friday the 13th, Part 7 and 8.